Alright everyone, this is Ash. Welcome back to the King's Speech. So we're going to get around to some Shonen Jump stuff today. So I was planning to get around to read-throughs this weekend, but unfortunately Liza P. DLC Shadow dropped on Friday. So that's eaten up a chunk of my time along with some personal stuff. So I did not have the time or energy to get to read-throughs this weekend. Hopefully I'll get back to those sometime next weekend. It has also been super hot here as well, so I don't want to lock myself in a stifling office and try to record videos. So hopefully next week, once it cools down, we'll get back to that. But in the meantime, still a lot of good content still coming your way. So if you haven't already, please do like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. But without further ado, let us dive into with Akane-Banashi, Story 160. She's Here Today. With story by Yuki Suenaga, art by Takamasa Moe, with Rakugo supervision by Kikuhiko Hayashiya. Sorry, I'm just trying to pull up the chapter on my tablet as well. Where is you, Akane? There we go. Oh, yeah, translation by Stephen Paul, lettering by Sneeron. So we have the Zuian Prize preliminary round. And you have head judge Shomei Subakiya. You have final July 9th 6 finalists, prelims July 8th 22 contestants, registration 63 entries. The 22 people who pass the selection process will compete for a chance to appear in the final. And you see the reporters looking at the schedule for the day. So it's quite an intense schedule, so don't complain about it. Since it's a brand new event, even the organizers weren't expecting it to turn into a production this size. But it's a happy miscalculation. It's like, exactly, it's helped them draw quite a lineup. There's the former newscaster who got popular with descriptive Rakugo, Uchiwa Hakuraite. Then you got the champion of negative Rakugo, Ryoji Hakute. A member of the popular line 4x4 performing unit, Saryu Kanpute. And the fantastical Rakugoka making waves on social media, Oguisu Sanmate. But the ones who stand out above the rest are, and you have Karashi, of course, Hikaru, and Akane. You have pretty obvious, like it's these two. They're absolutely rippling with energy right now. Their first confrontation since joining these schools. And not only that, she's here today. And you see Akane just like in the back room, just kind of like nervously waiting. And yeah, if you're sure you didn't want to watch them perform, you know those two, right? It's like, yes, that's why. It's going to make me competitive and try to get laughs from the audience. And so I'll never remember his name until he becomes more relevant, but bushy hair bro's like, so even in the prelims, you're not gonna, it's like, of course, if I can't win here, I'll never win tomorrow. Jeff, all right, Group E, get ready, you're going on next. You see kind of just like slapping her face, and she goes, okay, let's go. It's like, don't make them laugh, he says. I know she took it really seriously, but this is a high-profile competition against two formidable rivals. Does she even stand a chance? Jeff, well, my name is Akane Arakawa. This story is about a word called shiwai. It carries the same meaning as skinflint, miser, tightwad, cheapskate. Sorry, give me a second. Sorry, there's some dogs barking in the background. I suppose it carries the same meaning as skinflint, miser, tightwad, cheapskate, or curmudgeon. There's another word in this vein called muika shirazu, or doesn't know 6 days. What does this mean, you might ask? When counting days on your fingers, you curl them inside. Suichachi 1 day, Futsuka 2 days, Mika 3 days, Yoka 4 days, and you see this guy like the audience like rubbing his eyes as he's slowly starting to his eyes are starting to glaze over as he's about to fall asleep. I do love like the grainy little effect that they're doing for like showing that he's like losing focus. Itsuka 5 days. Now you have a closed fist. He goes, but with Muika, 6 days, you must release your fingers in order to continue counting. However, the cheapskate, once he has something within his grasp, will never let go. And you see Akane just like making intense eye contact with the posters drop off? Yeah. Making intense eye contact with the sleepy guy. So again, that's why he doesn't know 6 days. And he goes, there are no wrinkles. But when you get the feeling that she's talking to you, it heightens your concentration. Grabbing her audience with looks is a piece of cake for her, even in a venue this large. The real challenge comes next. Jav, your Rakugo is the epitome of selfishness. Pay attention to your audience. That's what my Ani-san said to me when I was a Zenza in training. But now I'm Futatsume. It's a given that I'm aware of my audience. What I should focus on now is myself. It's the Okanban at the very top of their craft who are truly the epitome of selfishness. What Miku-chan said opened up my eyes. Both a precision performance that makes people laugh at the right time and a satisfying performance that causes no laughter requires the same thing. The power to assert your own will. You're not molding yourself to the audience's needs. You're overpowering them with such a show of force that they have to appreciate it. So, but how will you do that? I have to be true to my roots. My goal is a performance like an amusement park. Alright. I guess quick thoughts on this chapter. So again, not really a lot to say. Like, a lot of it is just set up for like, our here's recurring characters. Here's everyone getting excited about, like, Akane's performing. Which is kind of the disappointment of, like, they're introducing like all these other contenders for the thing. It's like, I know none of them are going to be like, I'm not going to remember any of them or like their impact on the story at all. So it's kind of like a little bit of a disappointment. You have like these interesting characters that could potentially kind of catch my interest, but I don't feel like any of them really will. Apart from that, again, you got like everyone just like hyping up Akane and like what she's doing. I feel like the whole, like, she makes like intense eye contact with this guy in like the very back row, it's about to fall asleep. She's making like direct eye contact with him. I feel like it strains credulity just a little bit with this series. Like, the whole, like, she's like, it heightens your concentration. Like, she's like losing the little laser eyes. She's like following the audience around to like make sure they're all like focused on her. It feels a little, it's like, it takes me out of the story a little bit when they do stuff like this. So I'm like, all right, in a smaller venue, having her do something like that makes sense. It would make impact to the story. But having her do that in a performance hall this large strains credulity a little bit too much for me to buy it as believable. And I feel like that kind of goes hand in hand with how much they're kind of overhyping Akane's performance and like skills. Like, oh my god, like, the golden child is coming back, like the chosen one is coming back. And I feel like it's been leaning a little bit too heavily into that with recent arcs and chapters. But we'll see like what happens with the rest of the stuff. But yeah, I don't know, like, again, like her being like, the whole, like, the revelation that she had being like, the power to assert your own will. It's like, you have to mold yourself, like you have to overpower them with the show of force. This doesn't feel like something new that she's had to learn, like some new revelation or, clarification on something else that she's learned prior to this. Like, it just feels like, she's like rehashing something she's already learned before and like trying to make it out to be like some huge revelation. I don't know, like, we'll see how the rest of this chapters go, but like maybe I'm just due for a reread. Like, maybe that'll change my mind on like the current direction of like the story and the things, but I don't know, man. Like, it feels like Akane is losing a little bit of its spark to me, and I hate that feeling. But at the same time, I can't just like ignore and pretend like it's not happening. But like I said, we'll see what's happening with it. With all that said, I hope you all did enjoy this video. If you did, please do like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Like I said, hopefully read-throughs will be back sometime next week. So until next time, this is Ash. I'll talk to you all later.